Hi, Mom. How's it going? Mom, I need you to sit down. I am fine. The boys are fine.
So I'm driving. Before I get to the bump, I'm looking to my rearview mirror and I ask Garcia, man, what's up with this lady? Why is she looking so much? She's like, oh, that's that lady. That's Wendy.
Danny has been...
What is she doing up here? He's leaving out of town tomorrow. So it's got to get done tomorrow morning before he leaves.
Danny has been shot. And I don't think he's gonna make it.
But now I'm just curious what the fuck this lady's doing up here.
And I'm at the police station and I'm trying to help them figure out who may have done this.
This is Wendi Adelson, who is being interrogated by the police regarding the violent murder of her ex-husband, Daniel Markel. Wendi tries her best to put on a show, but as the detectives uncover the truth about what happened, they will begin to realize that the burglary gone wrong was actually a perfectly planned hit job. Dan Markel was a successful attorney from Toronto, Canada. Before entering teaching, Markel had a resume that sparkled with prestige. From studying at the University of Jerusalem and getting a law degree from Harvard, to clerking for Judge Michael Daly Hawkins and defending white-collar crimes at a top-notch law firm in Washington, D.C. His academic prowess led him to Florida State University College of Law in 2005, where he became a treasured faculty member, authoring various books on criminal law, and was honored with tenure in 2010. But behind the accolades and legal jargon, Markel was a family man at heart. He met Wendi Adelson on an online dating service called JDate and married her in 2006. The couple had 2 sons and they resided peacefully in their Trescott Drive residence in Tallahassee, while the two worked full-time at the university. Around 2009, Dan authored a paper titled Privilege or Punish: Criminal Justice and the Challenge of Family Ties. Now, of course, this is just our perception, but if he made a paper like this, chances are he was having some challenges with family ties. And later, it was found to be true. In 2012, the couple separated, and in 2013, they divorced. You can just imagine how messy the divorce settlement would be, especially when both of them studied law. In September of 2012, before the divorce, Dan returned home after a work trip, only to find his furniture gone, the kids gone, and of course, Wendi gone. They only left behind a small mattress on the floor, on which were the divorce papers. After this stunt, Markel fought for custody, and he later described his own divorce as, and I'm quoting here, Pearl Harbor-style separation and Visigoth-like sacking of the marital home. Now, in the academic community, that is a serious burn. Wendi would later go on to change the children's maiden name from Markel to Adelson, and she even changed her son's name, which was a name of Markel's relatives. In short, she wanted to have nothing to do with Markel. On July 18, 2014, at around 11 a.m., Markel's neighbor, Mr. James Geiger, heard the distinct sound of gunfire from Markel's residence and decided to investigate.
Okay, and tell me exactly what happened.
We heard and looked in, the garage door was up, and I thought the gentleman was backing out, and I went back to my house, but he never backed out, and I came back over, and his driver's side window is shattered, and he's battered and can't answer. He's inside. I don't know if somebody tried to shoot him or if he shot himself or what. I don't know. He didn't send an ambulance in a hurry. An EMT. He's still alive. He's moving.
What's going on with him?
I don't know. The driver's side window is all bashed in, and he's got blood all over his head. He's not responding to me. I think you need to hurry.
Responding to that call was Sergeant David Sims, who described the scene as a homicide.
When I arrived, I parked on the street, and the neighbor, Mr. Geiger, pointed out the house. I walked up the driveway. The garage door was up. There was a vehicle parked in the driveway running. As I approached the vehicle, I noticed glass on the ground outside the driver's side, and I checked the door locks, and the car was locked, but it was running. There was a person inside the car, kind of slumped over maybe a little to the right. And as I approached in the picture there, the vehicle door is open, but it was closed and locked when I arrived, and the glass in the driver's door was partially broken out. And there appeared to be a small half circle in that glass as if a projectile had entered or exited through that window. I did notice that in his left hand he had a cell phone, and in his right hand he had like a business card. And he also, the glasses, there was eyeglasses, half was laying in his lap and the other half was laying on the floor of the car.
Now, at that point, Markel was not dead. He was just shot. You remember how the neighbor pleaded in the 911 call that they had to hurry, right? Well, they didn't. According to the Associated Press, the emergency medical response was delayed because a dispatcher erroneously classified the call as less serious than it was. Early the next day, Markel was declared officially dead. When the investigators drew out a list of suspects, they started to dig deep into his personal life and realized that it wasn't a bed of roses. At the time, Wendy only knew that there was a shooting in that apartment from her realtor, who was informed of the shooting. Even so, as a possible suspect, she was interrogated just hours after the incident.
Did your ID with you?
I just listened to my voicemail.
What'd you hear?
I
Who was
just-
your voicemail?
It's from Lisa Carey, who is my real estate agent, or who I had gone with to find a house. She just said she was driving around town and she heard there was a shooting on Trescott.
Yeah, that's what this is about. I'm sorry you had to hear it that way.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if I should.
It's all right, just leave it there. Is it still on?
It's right there.
All right. There was a shooting at your home, or your ex-husband's home, at 2116 Trescott. Okay. Your ex-husband, Daniel, all right, has been taken to the hospital. He's not going to survive.
Oh my God.
Okay.
The detective decides to spring the information of his death early on because he needs to build a rapport on her timeline of the day and determine whether any contacts were made during the hours of the murder.
He called me at around 8. He was probably there until around 10.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. And then you
and then after he left, I kept working on a paper, and I emailed the paper to a librarian at school to work on some of the citations.
Okay.
And I don't think I talked to anyone else, but I was just working for an hour or so from the house. I was gonna take a shower, but I didn't. I ran out of time. I did laundry, and then I left the house around noon.
To go to the liquor store and the stuff for the party.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that she had to submit a paper, she claims that she didn't contact or talk to anyone. But of course, her statement seems shaky, which is why it's necessary to look at her recent contacts for the facts. At this point, the detective can't access her phone, and anything she shares is on her own will. But as soon as she recollects her own dialed numbers, she gives out a reaction which is just too hard to conceal.
I called, but I think we could see what time I called him. I thought it was more of like, let's see, recent calls. I called him, well, that's him calling in at 9:02. I called him at 11:42.
Did you get that? Let's watch it again.
He left me a message. I called him at 11:42.
That startle reaction as she was going through her contacts can have a lot of reasons, but our hunch is that she saw a contact who would quite possibly be a suspect. And after realizing that this call history can get submitted into evidence, she gave that feared reaction. It wasn't even a crying reaction, as she's not, but deep down, she's worried that this contact would have something to do with Markel's murder.
Okay, you went down which road you said?
I went down Trescott.
Okay.
I saw a police car there, and I just thought it was blocked, so I just turned around and drove to, I went down the rest of Centerville, went up Benton across, went to ABC Liquors, bought the bourbon.
I'm a little confused. You're up on Centerville Road. What's your purpose of driving down Trescott?
It's usually the shortcut to get to
Oh.
Monroe.
To get to Monroe?
I usually take it as a cut through to get to Thomasville or Monroe.
Okay, all right, so
I
you,
don't know why I said Monroe. I was thinking Mosaic, Monroe, Thomasville.
okay, so when you come down into town on Centerville,
I almost always cut through Trescott.
Trescott, and just drive by your old house?
Well, I do it as a way of like coming to terms with a divorce. But yeah, sometimes I drive there. If I'm too sad, I drive around.
As genuine of a reason this might be, it doesn't sound like something Wendy would do. As someone whose divorce was related to Pearl Harbor, it's questionable what she was coming to terms with. She even got their kids' names changed just to remove the presence of Dan Markel from their life. And here she is talking about coming to terms. In fact, to show you how much she despised him, let's take you a bit further into the interrogation and show you something which will surely have you thinking the same.
So Wednesday night
That's the last time, I didn't tell you this, but I thought about it in the bathroom. I didn't have an interaction with him, but that's the last time I saw him was Wednesday. I picked up the kids and I was going to take them to Whole Foods.
Okay.
And I saw Danny working on his computer in the window of the Whole Foods, and I took him to BurgerFi instead.
Oh.
Because he and I were, divorced,
Right.
and interactions with him were hard. And it was my one day with the kids, and I thought, well, if we go inside, it's going to be like all of us together, and I wanted time by myself.
That's fine.
With them. So I took them, but that's the last time I saw him.
She was so desperate to avoid her ex that she switched restaurants. Well, this makes sense to hear, but at the same time, she drives by her old house to come to terms with the divorce? That doesn't make sense. Her reason to swing by the house may be something more sinister than she lets on.
I have a lot of friends.
I know.
How do you know that?
Well, you had two of them up there for a last-minute lunch date, right?
Last minute?
Well, I mean, you went up there, you're sitting with them, you have friends.
I do. What I meant by it is that Danny didn't treat me very well, and I'm
Okay.
so scared that maybe someone did this. Not because they hate Danny, but because they thought this was good somehow.
Oh, are you saying that you think maybe one of your friends would have done something
Who
like
would
this?
do this?
I don't know. That's why you're here, and that's why we're talking. Would you ever ask someone to do something like this?
Not in a million years.
Okay. Do you think someone would do this for your benefit without asking you?
No.
What good does it serve?
I made my brother, his name is Charlie, the one I'm really close to. He makes a lot of jokes in bad taste, and it was a joke he made. He bought the TV for me this morning that got broken, and I was talking to him about whether it made sense to pay to fix it or whether I should get a new one, and it was always his joke that, like, he knew Danny treated me badly, and it was always this joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman, and it was cheaper to get you this TV, so instead I got you this TV.
Okay.
I mean, he would never. He's my big brother, and he's been taking care of me since I was little, but he would never. And I told that to the repair guy this morning.
Right. That's okay.
I said, he asked me how much it cost, and I said I didn't know because it was a gift, because my brother said it was cheaper than a hitman. It was my divorce present.
Okay.
Such a horrible thing to say. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
But even my family, who felt like I had been mistreated, would never do something like this. Never.
This line is the first window into how disturbing this case really is. In other words, she's saying that someone didn't like how their relationship was. So someone ended it not as a revenge motive, but for Adelson's benefit. A simpler term for this is that Dan Markel was a target of a so-called murder for hire. Also, the Joker is Wendy's brother, Charlie Adelson, a periodontist from South Florida. And even though he was joking, it seems too good of a coincidence to ignore. He didn't like his brother-in-law, and when the two had called it quits, his hatred only grew. But if he was finally out of their lives, why would he even think about getting a hitman? There must have been something Wendy had which he wanted. And there was, but we'll get to that later because that's the same thing the police did. Instead, they focused on the white Prius which the neighbor spotted and continued with the investigation. After a year, the Tallahassee Police Department called a press conference and showed photographs of the silver pine mica Toyota Prius, asking the public for help in locating the vehicle. The irony is that it took them a year to do this when they should have done it sooner. On the first anniversary of the murder, an independently funded $100,000 award was offered for information, but nothing came up. And when they had struck a dead end, they called in the help from the big boys, someone who could get in places that the Tallahassee Police Department doesn't have jurisdiction over. They were the FBI.
At the beginning, they had several leads, like interviews, things that they needed to track down that were outside of the city of Tallahassee. That we have agents, all over the country, so we're able to facilitate some of those leads and track down certain aspects of the case. We did obtain multiple pieces of footage, video footage around town, also showing that it appeared a light green Prius was following Mr. Markel wherever he went that morning.
With the FBI's eagle eyes, they were able to trace every step of Dan Markel's car, plus the Prius that was following him throughout the day. At around 9 a.m., Markel's car was seen entering the parking lot of the Premier Gym. And in another angle of the same parking lot, you can see the Prius. Markel worked out in the gym for almost an hour and a half, during which the Prius was just circling in the parking lot. And as Markel exited the parking lot to return home, so did the Prius. The Tallahassee buses have security cameras installed in the interior and exterior for safety and review purposes. Their next step was to match the route they took home against the buses, which were on the same route, which captured the chase quite well. The bus near the Circle K gas station on Thomasville Road picked up Markel's car, and as his car speeds away, we find the Prius still hot on his tail. At one point, the bus was behind the Prius at a traffic signal, but unfortunately, due to the resolution of the video, they were unable to take down a license plate. It was now 10:51 a.m., and the Prius was now in line to turn left on Benton Road because that's the route to Dan Markel's house. There were no buses on the route of Dan Markel's house, so this is the last time we see this chase. Between 10:51 to 10:55 is when the shooting occurred, after which another bus picked up the Prius. From this angle, there are three distinct marks to focus on: the dent in the front, the damaged side view mirror, and the SunPass transponder in the front. These transponders are used primarily in South Florida at SunPass toll booths to pay for toll roads. So now, all they had to do was reach out to the Florida Department of Transportation, match the details of the transponder and its time of use, against which they could then have a subscriber to that Prius. Turns out, it was a rental car rented to Luis Rivera. Here you can see his address, driving license number, and telephone number. Notice the number on top, which says brother. That was the number of interest given to the rental company, which belonged to Sigfredo Garcia. The reason why both their names are so important is because that Prius was spotted at a J.P. Morgan Chase ATM where Luis was making a transaction, and there was a clear snapshot of Luis Rivera and a passenger next to him in the passenger seat. It was Sigfredo Garcia. This was a two-man job. But initially, the more focused person was Luis Rivera, who was arrested and interrogated on September 30th, 2016. He was caught red-handed, so for him to get any sentence less than life, he had to cooperate and, most importantly, confess. This is why a second interrogation took place on the 4th of October 2016, with the hopes of him telling the truth. The goal of this confession will be not only to find out his intent, but to link him to the Adelsons. We just can't slide by that joke remark by Wendy's brother Charlie, so hopefully in his confession we will find the link that ties them to this murder-for-hire case.
Did you ever meet or know or hear of Daniel Markel before this occurred?
No.
No?
Speak up louder.
Hey, if I heard about him...
Did you ever hear of him?
No, not at all.
Never heard of him? Never knew anything about him?
No, sir.
No one's ever mentioned that name before?
No, sir, not at all.
What about Wendi Adelson?
Not at all either.
Anybody else by the last name of Adelson?
No, sir.
Okay. When's the first time, if you can recall, when you first understood that you were going to come to Tallahassee? Because my understanding is you've never been to Tallahassee before.
Never been up here.
Okay. What was the circumstances of the first that caused you to come to Tallahassee the very first time?
I thought the first time I was coming up here, I thought we were going to come up here and rob somebody. You know? So when I get in the car, that's when Garcia told me, what we coming up here for? Coming up here to kill somebody.
So before you got in the car, you had a conversation with Sigfrido Garcia,
In my house.
Tudo,
Yeah.
at your house, and he says he wants you to go with him to Tallahassee
Yeah.
to do a drug robbery,
My understanding when he was talking to me, first I thought it was gonna be like a robbery.
just a robbery.
I thought it was gonna be a simple robbery. But then as we kept going on talking about it, that's when he told me, listen, I gotta come up here for a job. I'm finna get hired. We're getting hired, but to kill somebody.
You already left, or is that before you?
No, I was still in my house.
Okay.
I rented a car. We got in the car and he told me more about it. Like, you gonna come out here? I'm gonna kill this guy. You're gonna get paid this much, $35,000. So I looked at him and asked, it's a little bit of money, but all right, whatever. Let's drive. We're driving. He showed me a picture of Markel. That's the first time I seen a picture of him and I heard about his name. But he told me his name. This is the guy we're gonna go see. His name is Markel. I'm like, I don't need the name. Forget about the name because I'm not gonna remember the fucking name. Just show me the picture. I just seen the picture and I looked at him. Somebody and drove up here. Come up here the first night. We rented a hotel.
I hate to interrupt you, but I do. I want to make sure we're talking about the first trip.
The first trip.
And you rented the car?
No, the car was not under my name.
Okay. Is it a rental car? Or
It was a rental car.
A rental car. Who rented the car?
It was Garcia. He came with the car.
He came with the car.
Yeah, he came with the car.
To your place.
He came. I was in my homegirl's house.
Who's that?
Rochelle. He picked me up and I left. He like, yo, what's up? Boom.
So he called you and said, I'm coming to get you.
He already told me the story. He rented a car and came and picked me up that same day.
Okay.
He's like, yo, I'm on my way. He picked me up, I got in the car, I left, went to my house, changed up, got in the car, and we drove.
Okay.
It was like a Wednesday night, I think Wednesday. It was Wednesday.
You knew that the purpose of him renting the car was to drive to Tallahassee with it?
Yes, sir.
So he'd already told you, I'm going to rent a car, or he shows up and says, I rented a car?
No, he said, I got to rent a car. He already rented a car. He said, I'm going to go rent a car, I'll be back later.
So you knew that the story, the first version, is that you're coming up here to rob somebody, he's going to go rent a car.
Yeah.
But it changed to murder before or after he rented the car?
No, before he rented the car. Remember, we was in the house speaking about it.
I just got to be down, I got to get it off.
I didn't want you to get me confused and throw me back and forth.
Exactly, I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
So I want to be straight up.
It sounds like Garcia was the man hired for the job, with Rivera tagging along. He even used Rivera's details in the rental information form just to avoid getting traced. But he didn't know that Rivera would rat them out.
And he showed you a picture of Markel
Markel.
and said y'all were going to go kill him. Now, were you the one that he was intending to go do the murder, or was he, why were you even involved?
Because he told me he trusts me. He said, I trust you, and you're the only one I trust.
But were you the one he was hiring to do the murder? Because I don't understand why you need two people to commit a murder.
They were hiring him.
Okay.
They were hiring him. They were not hiring me. They were hiring him. He said he's going to pay me to go with him because he didn't want to go by himself. Got in the car and he drove. I was on the passenger side. I was rolling a blunt and we drove. I was drinking the whole night going that way. That's it. When we got to Tallahassee, that way we need to rent a hotel. I woke up around 7 that morning. I think it was 7 o'clock the next morning. But when we got there by that time, we slept for a little bit. Our checkout was at 11. We leave. Went by Markel's house. Went around him. Went straight to his house. I parked by the park like I showed you. Like, I parked there for a little bit to see if he was gonna come out. When he came, I seen the car. I'm the one that scoped the car. I'm like, yo, that's that guy right there. I seen a white male in the car. He's like, yeah, that's him. Let's follow him. So we followed him all the way to the school. He dropped the kid off. Boom. I lost him. I guess he was going to the gym in that morning, but.
Let's back up a little bit further. You said they gave him $5,000. Tell us about that. What did he say? Where did he get the money from?
Oh, he said he got the money from the lady. He still haven't told me her name yet. He said, I got the money from the lady. Well, his wife gave him the money. So Katie gave him the money. But he told me about the lady. He told me, yo, the lady got the money. She gonna pay us. So, all this driving around and talking to him about the money, I told him, we should just go rob her. That was my intention. Fuck this guy. I don't got nothing against that guy. I don't even know that guy. Especially after he told me about what was it for the 2 kids. told me because I asked him, why you want to go kill this guy? Because the lady wants her 2 kids back. She wants full custody of them kids. Because he had all the custody. That was the plan, that was the deal. That's what I went to go kill that man for.
And how did Tuda know all this?
Katie, I guess Katie told him everything. Katie told him everything, and then that...
But you're just guessing that. You don't know that for sure. Do you?
No, that's for sure. For sure, Katie told him everything.
Right. How do you know that? How do you know Katie?
Because he stayed talking to Katie on the phone. Hey, babe, what's going on? Hey, the lady's gonna have... You sure she's gonna have the money on time? Tell her don't play with it because we'll go show up in our house. Tell her she better have that fucking money. And he always kept telling her that.
Because when you went on this trip, were you with Tuda the whole time? Did y'all separate? Y'all were in the same car? Y'all stay in the same hotel room?
Never separated. Stay in the same hotel, different beds.
You were always with him?
Yeah.
So when he talked to Katie, you could hear him talking to Katie?
Of course.
And you knew it was Katie?
I'm right there, right?
Did you know it was? Did you know it was Katie because of what he was saying, or could you actually hear her voice?
It's Katie. I can hear her voice.
And you had heard it before?
Yeah, I can hear Katie's voice. That's Katie.
Katie's full name is Catherine Magbanua, whose baby daddy is Sigfredo Garcia. Katie was also the intermediary between the actual hirer, and while she didn't tell them the person's name, she did say that she wanted him killed because of a custody dispute between her 2 kids. Remember that time when Wendy left with the kids, leaving Markel with a mattress and divorce papers? Well, turns out they planned to move in with her parents, Harvey and Donna Adelson's home in Coral Springs. Markel protested, and Wendy returned to Leon County with the children until legal agreements could be heard. On June 20th, 2013, a Leon County Circuit Judge formally denied Wendy's motion for relocation with the children, and the divorce was resolved without trial by a marital settlement agreement. After that, there were emails from Wendy's parents who wanted her to coerce Markel into allowing the relocation. They openly abused him in the emails to the point that Markel filed a counter motion by asking the court to prohibit Donna from having unsupervised time with her grandchildren and impose limitations to prevent the children from being subjected to disparaging comments about their father. Perhaps this was the reason, after all, preventing Markel from getting in the way of her kids having visits to her side of the family. We've already established that her brother Charlie did not like Markel, so it makes even more sense for them to silence him in such a ruthless way.
He talked to her once, she told him, don't be calling me so much.
She said
Just call me when you finish. She thought it was going to happen that same night that we went up there.
First trip.
The first trip. I didn't let that shit happen. I'm like, man, I ain't doing shit. I was still, what the fuck? My mind was like, for some kids, are we going to kill this guy for some fucking kids? Are you serious? Why can't she just get full custody?
Lewis, were you hired by Garcia to do the job?
Yeah, Garcia paid me.
I know, but were you just a ride-along, or were you actually going to be the trigger man? I don't know why he paid you so much money for a ride.
I was just a ride-along. He goes, come with me, and then as we're going, at one point he tells me, you should go in there and kill him. I said, nah.
Lewis, it's if the truth is that you were hired.
I told you. I changed my story.
Okay.
I told him the story.
Right.
He asked me, you know what? You should go in there and kill him. You should go in the house. I'm not going.
Why would he want you to go in and kill him? Does he believe you've killed people in the past?
That's what he thinks.
Have you ever killed anybody in the past?
Never in my life, sir.
You know you're under oath.
Yeah, never in my life. I put my hands up. Never in my life I killed nobody.
Okay.
I don't beat people with bats here with sticks and shit like that.
But you had mentioned before that the first trip was the intent that you were going to do the shooting.
Yeah. He thought I was going to do the shooting. But I wouldn't have enough balls to fucking shoot somebody for some kids, man. So I didn't do it. So the whole
But maybe what about for $30,000?
I still wouldn't. I couldn't do it. I didn't even grab the gun. That's how crazy it is.
But you had the gun the first time. The gun came from you, or from
the gun came from me.
The first trip.
I gave him the gun. He grabbed it. He cleaned it up with alcohol, cleaned it up, and he held it the whole time.
The fact that he was offered $35,000 just to be a ride-along is just crazy, but somehow it makes sense. Rivera had no connection to this entangled family chain. He was just a friend of Magbanua and Garcia. His idea of robbing the lady who had the money leads the detective to believe that he intended to be a ride-along for a robbery, not a murder. Even at the crime scene, Markel's wallet was just lying on the ground and the money was not stolen. The police need to ascertain from his confession whether he was just a ride-along or did he pull the trigger.
It's a 38. Smith & Wesson, short nose. The same gun we came up with. The same gun we came up with the first time. We came up with 2 guns.
Came up with 2 guns?
Yes.
Last time we were talking, I meant to tell you, but you had 20 minutes, and I'm like, I told Chuck, man, I gotta tell him. I don't want to make no mistake. Came up with 2 guns. There's a blue steel, long nose, Taurus, and a 38.
Who had what?
There was 2 guns.
You had them both? Who had them?
No, both was in the car stash.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I said, I'm going to keep one because you never know what's going to happen. I really didn't trust Garcia. I don't know if he was going to fucking kill me. If he was a kid, this guy was going to kill me. So I was prepared for whatever.
You grew up with this guy. He's not going to kill you.
Man, you go kill somebody and then you drugged up, man, and then you shoot the fucking car.
Oh, well, that's true. He did shoot the car. So, all right.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right.
Shit.
Well, I forgot about that part. But I mean, I don't know. Would he intentionally shoot you?
Maybe he'd be like, I killed this guy. This guy might snitch on me. Boom, let me kill him too. Let me get him out the way and let me steal all the money.
Now, the only thing that I feel like is lacking is the $5,000 that you brought up.
That I gave him? That's what you're talking about?
Did you give somebody $5,000?
Oh, if I gave somebody $5,000,
You said
yes.
they gave him.
I when I got paid.
Okay, you. Okay, all right. You said $5,000 just a minute ago from Katie.
Coming up.
Oh no, when we're coming up this way, he had money. I said, yo, how much money you got? I think he's like $5,000. Like, damn, they give you that much money to take a ride? Yeah, let's go. And then he gave me $500. He's like, hold this, just in case I run out. I know he's gonna run out because he's gonna buy everything in coke.
Do you know where the $5,000 came from?
Katie gave it him.
He said that?
Yeah, I'm like, who gave you the money? Like, my wife gave me the money because the other lady gave her the money to give to him. He's like, look, this is just to let you know that I'm real. Like, I'm honest about what I'm gonna give you. Like saying, we go out. Then the next trip is when he had like $2,000. And he gave me $200 out of that shit. Kept it in my pocket. He ran out and I had to use my $200.
If Katie was able to give $5,000 on the first day and $2,000 on the second day, her original pay must have been way bigger than that. Well, turns out, while Garcia and Luis Rivera were getting 4 to 5 digits, Rivera claimed that Katie's payoff was in the 6 figures.
My understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong, is you'd already settled that he was going to give you 30 and then give you an extra 5.
30 and then he's going to give me an extra 5, but he gave me an extra 7. He gave me was 37.
Okay.
37.
But that's before even leaving the very first time.
Yeah, before even the first time.
And I believe, it's your story, but I believe you said before something about you knew that the total amount equaled $100,000 or something.
Yeah.
Was that before you took the first trip?
Yeah, before he took the first trip, because he told me I'm gonna give you 30, but then he gave me 30. He gave me 37. He gave me 35 first, and then he gave me extra some money on top of it. So it was 37 in total. Then I asked him, how much you getting? He got like 40 something. So I said, how much Katie is getting? Well, she getting the rest. I'm like, hold up. I might be illiterate, but motherfucker, I can count money. 37 and 40 something and the rest. Nah, she getting more than 50. She getting more than 60 something grand in her pocket. So I mean, there was more money because.
Before this, I want to go back to your driving out of Tallahassee, and you said before that he calls Katie.
Mm-hmm. He calls Katie. I think right when we had dumped the gun, I think he called her, and he said, everything is done. Make sure you have my money. I'm on my way. When we get back to the house, he calls, yeah, with my money. She goes, don't worry about it. You have it tomorrow morning.
During this interrogation, Rivera even sees Wendi Adelson and confirms that she was the person for whom this hit was taking place. This encounter happened a day before the actual murder, and according to Rivera, Adelson was in on it and got confirmation that it was going to happen.
I ran around the block. I went around the block to the other park behind his house. He said, pull in here real quick. Let me go see if he's home. So we pulled in. He walked over there. He looked, came back. He's like, go around the house. He said he seen something, but he wasn't too sure if it was somebody. So when I go around the front of the house, that I come back like this. So I'm driving this way. Wendy's walking this way with the 2 kids. So I'm driving. Before I get to the bump, I'm looking to my rearview mirror and I ask Garcia, man, what's up with this lady? Why is she looking so much? She's like, oh, that's that lady. That's Wendy. I'm like, oh, no, that's her name. I said, well, so, you know, I'm like, okay. I seen the 2 kids. I said, what's she doing up here? What is she doing up here? Oh no, she came to make sure that everything's all right because he's leaving out of town tomorrow. So it's got to get done tomorrow morning before he leaves.
So this all happened before 12 noon?
Yeah, before 12.
On Thursday?
On Thursday.
You drove by, you saw her walking the kids. You asked him, he says, that's Wendy. She's making sure that we're going to do this or whatever.
That she wanted to make sure that we was up there. She thought that we were lying, that he was lying. Because they don't even know I'm in the car until she seen me that day.
Yeah, but your car's got tinted windows. Does she even know what kind of car you guys are in?
That car, it's not even tinted. Like, you can see through it. It's like, you can see real. You can see it's tinted, but not dark like people think.
Right, but she wouldn't know you from Adam's house. She wouldn't know you from anybody.
Yeah, she don't know me from anybody. But you can see, you got a little short guy in the car like this. I'm driving like this, and you see Garcia. Garcia's on the passenger side. You know, so she looked and then he looked. Like, you know, that's what caught my attention. Like, what's up with this lady looking at the car? She didn't know she wanted to make sure that we was up here. I guess Katie had told him everything. And then he called Katie. I remember leaving that day when we left. He called Katie. Yo, everything all right with this lady? She's like, yeah, everything's straight. Don't worry about it. Just make sure you get that shit done.
You hear that?
Yeah.
Or he tells you that?
No, I can hear her talking on the phone.
So far, we've seen Wendy naming her brother and his joke about killing Markel, and we've heard Rivera talk about Wendy's acknowledgement of the murder for hire through Catherine Magbanua, who hired Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera for the job. That's a lot of names, but the suspect list is still not complete. After this interrogation, detectives arrested Sigfredo Garcia and Catherine Magbanua. Rivera had already pled guilty in 2016 and was sentenced to more than 12.5 years imprisonment at the Coleman Federal Prison in Central Florida. By October of 2019, Magbanua and Garcia's trials took place together, in which Garcia was found guilty of first-degree murder, for which he received a life sentence, and conspiracy, for which he received 30 years. However, the jury was unable to reach a verdict on Magbanua, which means that she remained in jail pending retrial. After several delays, her retrial began on May 16, 2022, in which the jury found her guilty of first-degree murder, for which she was given a life sentence. She was also found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and solicitation to commit murder, both of which added 60 years to her sentence. During this time, the ties between the killers and the Adelson family were not ignored. With the FBI's resources, their phones were tapped, and their family was constantly pestered about the Markel shooting. This led to a secret recording called the Dolce Vita recording, which is a restaurant that Kathy went to in order to meet with the Joker, Charlie Adelson, in 2016, just 2 years after the murder. This recording was from back in April of 2016, so Catherine wasn't a person of interest yet. This recording was intentionally aimed at Charlie Adelson to see if there are any ties to him with the case. And this recording was the proof. The reason for this meeting at the restaurant was that Garcia was arrested, and the two worried that they would be hearing from the cops soon. So this was just done to get their story straight.
Okay, so this, go tell the cops. They're going to ask you, where's the weapon at? You're going to say, I don't know. Do you know who owns the drink? Same name? Okay. Did you witness it? The person's going to say no. So you didn't witness it, you only heard a rumor on the street that this person did something. You know what that's worth? 0. Then what you do is you wear a wire, get this person talking, and if you can get the person to confess on wire, then you have something that you're charged. You have a confession. Outside of that, there's no evidence. Okay? If you have a car and you can link this person to renting that car that was used at the scene of the crime, okay. But you have to prove that they were also driving that day too. They didn't rent it and then lend it to a friend. What if you rented a car today? I go, Katie, can I borrow for the weekend and I'll bring it back on Tuesday? You go, yeah, sure. So you rented a car. You've been in that car. I drive it to fucking Orlando. I rob a McDonald's in Orlando. I come back and I go, here's the keys, Katie. And you go, okay, thanks. Yeah, you rented it, but... Or what if you were fucking out all weekend and you didn't even know I took your car? I did something and I brought it back. Okay. My point is, I don't have any knowledge of what went on. Evidently, this person's either pretending to or does. I don't want someone paying business for my parents. So, well, listen, you didn't do anything, I didn't do anything. I'll prove it. Next question, prove it. And I don't have time to talk about this. If you want to arrest me, fucking arrest me. I'm not going to sit here and show you phones and take pictures I took of myself. Why can't you have my phone? Because I got tons of new photos of myself on my phone. You're not looking at big pictures of myself all day Tuesday. Why don't you come back with more? You can look at all the big pictures you want to get. I'm serious. I don't want them laughing at my TV. The point is, okay, I don't like cops, and you're not getting my dick pictures of myself. That's my answer. Okay? If you think I did something, arrest me, charge me, and that's it. And don't ever contact me, my friends, or my family again, or we will go to the police.
From the murder in 2014 to Magbanua's incarceration in 2022, the Adelsons denied any involvement, as they were supposed to. But in the 2019 trial, Charlie Adelson was named as the person who paid Magbanua $100,000. She denied involvement too, and claimed that the case led her to believe that Adelson was quote-unquote involved in the murders. That's how quiet she got after her payday. But all that changed in 2022 when the police came knocking down the Adelson family's door and arrested Charlie for first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and solicitation to commit murder. At the time, Wendy and Donna were named as co-conspirators. But before they could take Charlie to court and have his expensive lawyers fight the case, the Leon County State Attorney's Office had a trick up his sleeve. He proffered Magbanua for information related to the case. And when she took the stand in 2023 in the trial of Charlie Adelson, she blew the case wide open.
I believe that the truth needed to come out now so that the family can get some type of closure.
Why didn't the truth need to come out last year or the year before or the year before that?
I was trying to defend myself.
You were trying to get off?
Yes, ma'am.
What was your motivation for becoming a part of this murder plot?
Financially.
Who came up with the idea to kill Dan Markel?
Charlie.
So Sigfredo Garcia didn't come up with the idea?
No, ma'am, he did not.
Luis Rivera didn't come up with the idea?
No, ma'am, he did not.
When did the defendant first bring this idea up to you?
My first recollection was around Halloween of 2013.
Around Halloween or on the actual?
On Halloween, yes, ma'am.
All right. What's your recollection of how that came up?
We were at a Halloween party in Lincoln Road, and right before we were about to go, he got in the car with me and he asked me a question.
What was the question?
Do you know anybody that can harm someone?
And did you know anybody that could harm someone?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Who was that?
Sigfredo.
Even the calls with Sigfredo and Adelson were coded, which the investigators cross-examined, and they were able to get a complete translation of what Magbanua was saying in her cryptic calls.
Fredo Garcia, about $65.70. Were you referring to the undercover phone number?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Okay, and then when you're talking to Charlie about an agent, were you talking about, it seems like you're talking about real estate agent, but are you talking about the undercover agent that approached his mother?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
All right, and the CD, was that reference to a recording that the Adelsons made of their contact with the undercover?
A recording of their contact with them?
Yes.
That they were being recorded?
No, that they called the undercover phone
Yes,
number
ma'am.
and recorded it.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever actually hear that recording?
No, ma'am, not until my trial.
Hello? Hola, diga. Hello, diga. Who's this? Who's this? Someone's been calling my family and trying to figure out who this is. In reference to what, man? Someone by the name of Sammy called? Yeah, that's me, man. Alright, what's going on? Well, what's going on is my brother Tato. Okay, my brother Tato has not been taken care of. His family's not been taken care of. I talked to a dentist. Why are you calling me? Who are you? I gave the number to a lady. I don't know Tato. You don't know Tato? I'm sure you know Katie and Tuto. They've been taken care of since the family problem been taken care of up north. I don't know. You don't? Well, this I'm going away, my friend. Because let me tell you something. I was at Broward with Tato, and he told me the whole story. He told me nobody was taking care of him. Nobody was taking care of his family. The family was taking care of Katie and Tuto, and nothing's been taken care of with Tato. So we know what's going on. I've never met these people, but let me call you back, okay? That's bullshit, man. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know this lady. I don't know your relationship with this lady, but we know what the f*** is going on. Just ain't going away. Take care of Tato just like you take care of Katie and Tuto, man.
The client, there's a lot of discussion about this client or this tenant. You need to find out if this is going to be a good tenant or a bad tenant.
Yes, ma'am.
Was the tenant this person, if it really was a blackmailer, this thug that's somehow affiliated with Rivera?
Yes, ma'am.
The paperwork, what was that?
That was the paper that was handed to his mom by the undercover.
On the Dolce restaurant meeting, we see Charlie Adelson pull out a piece of paper. Was
Yes,
that the actual piece of paper that was handed to his mother?
I believe so. I just never saw it. He never showed it to me.
Okay. Did he give you a phone number off of that piece of paper?
He did. That was that phone number that we just can't seem to get right.
Yes,
The 6570.
On top of all this, she named another Adelson who facilitated the operations, particularly the payments to Catherine Magbanua. That person was Donna Adelson, Charlie and Wendy's mother. In the trial, Magbanua released the checks she got after the murder. And after the investigation unveiled her bank statement, they were able to trace every penny that was transferred to her account. The payments were made from the Adelson Institute business account, an account which was primarily run by Donna. Nearly 9 years after the murder, Charlie Adelson was finally convicted and sentenced to life in prison. And with the mother's involvement confirmed, the search warrant came through for Donna Adelson. And as the police set out to arrest her on the 13th of November 2023, she was caught in the nick of time.
Hi, how are you? You have your ID?
So the next place is what? The warrant? What did you say?
Huh?
What did you say the next place was?
Well, what happened is the warrant that they have from you is from out of Leon County.
When did they issue a warrant?
So what happened is we have to take you to our warrants room for that information to get entered, and then after that gets entered, before we can take you to the jail, to the local jail.
Okay, because I didn't know there was a warrant. How would I know that?
Well, we wouldn't have been able to take you if there wasn't something in place.
So aren't they supposed to inform? Aren't they supposed to inform me if there was a warrant?
Well, I don't know the details.
I don't either.
She knew full well that there was a warrant out for her arrest, or that the police would be coming after her after successfully convicting her son. The reason why we know that is that she was arrested at the Miami International Airport as she was about to flee to Vietnam, a country with no extradition treaty with the United States. She is charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and solicitation of murder, and her trial is set to take place in September of 2024. Now the case has finally come full circle, with all the loose ends tied properly. Charlie and Donna hired Charlie's ex-girlfriend, Catherine, who hired her baby daddy, Sigfredo, who took Rivera as his ride-along to kill Dan Markel. Now, of course, there are still suspicions about Wendi Adelson, but so far the investigation is ongoing and she has not been charged with anything related to this case, which seems a bit questionable. While we all wait for their trial, we can wonder whether Wendi Adelson had any involvement at all. So, let's keep that conversation going in the comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching.